Welcome back. Let's talk about food security in the nation. We've been joined in the program by the former Deputy Director, Ministry of Agriculture, also from the UNCCD, National Consultant Land Degradation Neutrality, TSP 2.0, Mr. Richard Nzeko. Mr. Nzeko, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Nzeko, the reason why we're having this conversation is if there is a sector that demands an urgent state of emergency, is food in our country, because of how vital food is and for survival and for existence in its entirety. So let's begin with your general assessment. The president is going to have his midterm in May next month. It's good to have done 2 years. So everything he has promised, we can now assess to say after 2 years how well or how not well he's done it. So let's begin from there in terms of what is done in terms of food security by your own assessment.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Going forward, I think the administration has done a lot to promote food security in the country. And food security cuts across many areas in agriculture. And my own area has to do with land use, land degradation. The Federal Ministry of Environment and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security are working, they're collaborating to ensure that lands upon which agriculture is based is producing optimally. There are projects that are on ground. For instance, in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, there is the soil health situation, soil health card, that is monitoring how healthy our soils are. Because it is based on this land that all forms of activities, whether it is forestry, agriculture, fisheries, and other aspects, take place. So the administration, as far as I can say and know, they are doing well. But what is being advocated is that we can do more, we can do better, and we can do faster in these areas to avoid a situation where we run into difficult times as far as climate change issues are concerned, because they impact negatively upon our lands and the population therein.
You talk about this soil test being carried out by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, but let's look at what's happening at the subnational level in states. Do you find the same effort being replicated? Because there should, as we assume, be some form of intervention in the agricultural space by the state governments as well. And in addition to that, what do you find to be the level of this concern about land degradation and climate, the adverse effects of climate change on agriculture in different regions of the country?
In terms of land degradation, the level, it is high in the country. In fact, some recent information that is available indicates that about 19 million hectares of Nigeria's land and Nigeria's agricultural land are degraded. Of course, you have various kinds of degradation. Now, these aspects have to be addressed. There is a hierarchy of addressing these land degradation issues. According to the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, you have to put in measures, policies that will help the population to avoid, to reduce, and restore degraded land. Avoiding means you need to go down to the people, because that takes more time, but it's more efficient in the long run if you deploy the necessary technicalities. So that brings me to the issue of what you asked about soil testing. In those areas, in the 774 local government areas, I believe there are processes that are involved to test, to go there and get those soils sampled and tested. Then the farmers should be aware of what is there. You know, the land is the capital base upon which all activities take place. So they should know whether the elements are low, medium, or high, and then remedial measures to make sure that these things are ameliorated as quickly as possible.
Are you saying, sir, pardon me,
that way right now?
Pardon me, are you saying,
Yes.
sir, that it's the farmer that should take responsibility for the soil testing? What about the intervention from the state government?
It is a combination of the farmers are the end users. It is expected that the state governments, state and local government area should play a key role in this aspect, because the technologies available, the farmers may not know them all at a time. So they need the guidance, they need the direction of state governments and local governments to get this thing done as quickly as possible. So agriculture, you know, is on a concurrent list. The federal will put in policies, the state will have to key into it, and then it will be done at the local government areas. So it is a win-win situation if from the bottom, the farmers are aware. They are very close to the land. They are the ones that know these lands better than people that are far away. So they know what to do if they are properly guided. One of the things I think we should be talking about is providing them with scientific data. In other words, strengthening the extension system to get down to them. In the past, we had extension workers that dealt more on seeds, fertilizers, and agrochemicals. But I think the time has come when we should have land resources extension agents to work with the farmers, to guide them, to avoid the situation where some poor agricultural practices are done. And these are the things that lead ultimately to land degradation without their knowing it. So they should be informed scientifically that these measures is what they should practice. And it is the states and the local government that should take responsibility for this.
In your view, how much is available in terms of resources, in terms of courage, in terms of even political will at the local level to drive agricultural development, which is where it's supposed to be actually? But when we see, I'm happy that the government has now intervened with local government autonomy, even though the implementation is still in the works for the local government to be able to do what they have to do. And when I'm talking about agriculture, I'm talking about all part of it, whether it's fishery, whether it's livestock, whether it's farming, all of these elements that are supposed to be driven at that particular local level. What are the encumbrances you've seen besides the availability of resources for them to be able to do it? Are they even willing to do as much as they do? Because when we hear agriculture, most of the time we hear from federal and state. The local government?
Well, the awareness is the key thing in the first instance. These extension agents I talked about, we go down to the level of those farmers, assess their needs, then take it up, and then quantify them, put values on those items, and then the resources will be mobilized from both private sector and government and all other people who are interested, international agencies can now come in. But this information has to come. They should be specific, location specific. They should be quantitative. You should monitor them. For instance, what you want to intervene in a particular place. Technology has it that it has to be spatially explicit for you to know the coordinates of a particular place where you are intervening, so that you can monitor it over a period of time. Farmers are being encouraged to have more trees on their lands because this serves two purposes. In some places, we call it agroforestry. You still get your cash crops. You now get some forest products. And in addition to that, the land is covered. So you achieve multiple benefits when you have farmers or participating groups taking this course of action to ensure that all the time our lands are covered. Because it is when they are exposed to the whims and caprices of the environment that they are eroded. It starts with real erosion, sheet, and gullies. So if the farmers are aware by this core of extension agents we are advocating, then they can begin those practices. They can avoid all those practices that are poor right from the beginning, and then the benefits will increase.
Ms. Anze, so part of my question, if I may come in, part of my question is, there are resources deployed. I know you are benchmarking it on extension workers, you're benchmarking it on the farmers themselves. I'm talking about government intervention in terms of empowering them to do what they have to do. There's this much they can do as far as that is concerned. So I want you to get your take as an expert within that field of how much of those resources at the local level is deployed to these measures you've talked about, and whether they are really moving the needle. Because if we fail in this, we're failed.
Yes. This area, some of these areas have been neglected over time. Now, it is impacting negatively upon us. So the three tiers of government have to sit round, have to make intentional budgets that can be monitored to be sure that those resources they put get to the farmers, get to the people for which they are meant. Whether they, in terms of, let me say, for example, fertilizers are often given to farmers, or they buy them, or they are subsidized and so on. But there are other aspects of enriching the soil that farmers can undertake if they are properly trained. For example, making of compost. Compost making is a major intervention. If it is done, the farmers can be taught how to do it so that they can complement the use of inorganic fertilizer with those compost. In that case, the soils become more stable. The important organic matter that the plants need are available, and they recycle those residues that would have been otherwise thrown apart. They recycle it into the system. Biodiversity conservation. Trees are planted, some of these things are walked back into the soil, into the land. So my take on this is that it is a tripartite, even four, because you have the intervention of some international donors. They would like to know what the country is actually doing before they intervene. At the federal level, the main proposal is said, the policies are put in place. One of the things that we noticed so far is lack of synergy among the major implementers of these programs. Everybody takes his own direction. So there is need that when these programs are formulated, all the agencies, the ministries, departments, agencies, non-governmental agencies, they all have a stake, and they will be part of it from the beginning until the program comes to an end. We now have transformative programs and projects on board. Thank you.
Beyond the lack of synergy, are you also, by your answer, confirming that year in, year out, there are no intentional budgets from the subnationals to tackle these challenges? You can answer that first before I come in with my next question.
Well, at the subnationals, they may have figures given at the beginning of the year, the budget year, but what happens at the end of that year is where our interest. Figures are put up. Is there a system where you can monitor? If you put XYZ Naira, at the end of the day, what got down to that farmer in that community, in one of the communities, maybe far away Borno or in Bayelsa State, how much of what was budgeted got to them? It's not a question of having figures. Yes, you can have figures run into billions of naira, as the case may be, but how much of it, in what terms, in real terms, how much gets to those farmers? It can be monitored.
Okay,
unless you do a critical analysis of what is happening in the states, you may not be able to answer it exactly the way you want it.
I understand your diplomacy, Mr. Nzeku, but we have our answers in cost of food and 25 million Nigerians being insecure. But speak to this very quickly. There's a program called Agro-Climatic Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscape, a World Bank-assisted project in 19 northern states. Are you aware of this program, and to what extent has it helped to solve the challenge of land degradation, soil deforestation, and soil erosion?
Okay, I'm aware of Agric. That's the acronym for what you have just mentioned. Yes, in the project document, there is provision, there is a target for the number of hectares this program is meant to restore, restoration of degraded areas. The project is ongoing. Maybe when there's a midterm review, we'll be able to know how far they have gone to achieve the targets set. So we know that in these Sahel states, that sub-Saharan states that you mentioned, the issue of land degradation is also on the high side. But the various interventions being promoted by Agric is at the states and the local government and community levels. So we're working with them to find out how much of the targets that has been set is being achieved as we speak. There are processes, as being the World Bank program, there are processes of reviewing what has been done, given the time frame, and how much needs to be done in the remaining period. Like I said earlier, we need to do more, we need to do better, and we need to do them faster. Whatever we are doing, we need to do them better, because the issue of climate change is not waiting for us. Rather, it is coming to make us stand on our toes and do all those sustainable land management practices, because that is part of what Agric is doing. There are certain sustainable land management practices that have been put in place that should be able to help farmers. For example, there are some barren lands.
If I may.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate your thoughts and your insights on this. And of course, when we talk about agriculture, benchmarking it on food security is super important for it to be an ongoing conversation. I must thank you, Mr. Richard Nzeku, from the UNCCD National Consultant Land Degradation Neutrality TSP 2.0, and former Deputy Director, Ministry of Agriculture. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll switch gears to the conversation about the Global Disability Summit taking place in Berlin. Kayode will take it off from there. Join us again.